Good morning, everyone. This is Marisa with Sweet Pea Curiosities. I hope you're doing well. So I'm coming in because I just finished my newest Grungy Junk Journal. And I just love it. I love doing grungy. I just think that there's a freedom to it. Because you just add and layer and just do so much stuff. Plus I get rid of a lot of scraps that I have left over. I realized when I was doing this, I pulled out a few of my other grungy junk journals. What I realized is every one of them has a boy on the cover. Whoops. And I thought, okay, I need to have a girl on the front of one of my grungy covers. So that's why I did the girl on the front. And as you can tell, like this one's a little smaller here. This one, I guess that's about the same size. This one's a little bit bigger that I did. What size is it here? I know it's thicker, so it's just about 8 inches. I know it's thicker because I made the spine bigger, so about 3 inches on this. I was trying not to have a big gator mouth by doing my stuff, and so that's why I did the bigger spine. The book was an old book that was coming apart, and it still had the fabric from it, so I kept that, did the bind, and so I could use that fabric on it, and I love how that looked. This is from an old book that I had. It's old book spine. So I put that on there for it. And here you can kind of see the old book. It's like an old writing book that I had. On the front, I used a lot of my rusty metals. This here actually comes out. I wasn't sure what to put there, but I kind of liked the little bit of gold bling on there. Use this here, which this doesn't move. It's so rusty it won't move. But use that to tie on there. And I love using these hinges. I try to rust those because they're great closures. And I think that they just add so much to it. This here's an old jewelry piece that I had rusted up. I have a bin full of just rusty bits that when I rust them, I just kind of throw them all in here and then I just kind of dig away. Eventually, I want to do like a cooking one so I can use my spoons and forks and that sort of thing. That's that. Then I just used some of a lot of my fabrics in here. Instead of tea, I used coffee, Folgers instant coffee, because it creates a darker dye to the fabrics on there. And sometimes even, when you bake your fabrics in the oven, it will darken them up as well. So that's kind of how I did some of these. This here was already this color. Not sure where I got it, but I loved it because of the little polka dots here. And I love this. This lace here, oh my gosh, I'm on eBay and I'm everywhere looking for more of this pretty lace. I haven't found it. I still have some left. It's vintage, but it's one of my favorite laces. I don't know why, but I use it a lot, and I'm going to run out, and I'm going to be so disappointed when I run out because I absolutely love it. So I don't know how to search for it on eBay, but I'm on there where every time new listings come up with vintage lace, it sends me an email. I'm just hoping at some point I'll see it out there. I've searched everywhere, but I don't know. How would you describe it if you were searching for it? Because this is, what is that called? Tatting? Kind of in the middle, and then the lace on the outside. I don't know. I would love to find more of this. But anyways, I digress. So here's a sweet picture. This is from one of my digitals that I used of this gal here. Then I've just made a tag, put another metal piece on here and adhered that. So there's that. Some pretty lace. Then here I've just tied it. This here, you know when you buy those braided rugs? That everybody buys those braided rugs and takes them apart and you have all the fabric? This is one of those pieces from one of those braided rugs, and I have a whole bunch of it. So if you ever do those, make sure you wash them a couple of times before you take them apart, because for whatever reason they stink. But anyways, so here's the front. So this, I'm sure it's been done before. I'm not going to take credit for it, but it's the first time I did it. I had this photo of this girl, and it's a little creepy now because I took this, it's from an old magazine. I put it on the corrugated cardboard, and then I, pushed the picture photo into the corrugation. But I thought this would be better for Halloween because her eyes now follow you wherever. I don't know if you could see that or not, but it's a little creepy, but I did like it, so I kept it in there. Put a little Tim Holtz saying, some more of that my yummy lace that I love. This here, it's hard to see, but it's an old photo, real photo, but it's very, very faded. And it's two kids in there, but I just thought it was appropriate for that. Then just did a little collaging here. I did just a lot of, collaging and things like that, just placing things over. Here, this is another one of my digitals, and I put her in here with her butterfly wings. This is from an old scrapbook. It's gold. I do have some gold through here, so that's why I thought, oh, that would be good, because it kind of, plays it off. And then here's an old piece of linen fabric that I had dyed this darker brown. It was a cream color before, and I've just attached that. This here is from, those art journaling magazines. I subscribe to them, and every once in a while I'll go out there and I'll just cut one of their creations out to put into my book. And I thought that looked good. I did add some vintage tape here and that sort of thing, but I put that in there. This here is also one of my digitals. It's my snippets that comes with all the little tiny tags and the tiny little envelopes in here. And so I've used my snippets throughout here to add. And I just think they're fun, a little interactive. This here, I was just playing around. Probably did these a couple months ago, playing around with stamps and paint and my paint pens and that sort of thing. So that's what that is there. This here, what it is I did squares, 4 squares of different papers that I had, or 5 squares, sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I added, and these are a digital that I have that they're all tiny, tiny pictures, kind of a collage paper that has all these tiny photos all over it. And so I used some of those, added some Tim Holtz words in here. Then here, just a little collage here. This is from an old paper that I had. It's just of a building, and then I've added her, again, one of my digitals here. This is a 4th of July. I really mixed it up. There's no theme whatsoever to this junk journal. I just put things in here that thought that it would go with the color scheme and the grungy kind of part of it. So I'll have some 4th of July. I'll have some girls with flowers, that sort of thing. So that's what I like about grungy. To me, anyways, I don't really have a theme. I just kind of go for it. This here's from one of my newest digitals here, and they're deep colors, really, really pretty. Remember, when you do print with digitals, and especially if you have these deep designs, you use a good photo mat paper, because that's how you're going to get these deep colors when printing. This is just some old fabric that I had here. This is some of my old ephemera that I put on here and added this picture here. This here is, so it's hard to see, but so a lot of times when I'm doing paintings or, anything like that, I'll put down the wax paper down to protect my surface. So I end up with a lot of, paint and stuff on them, and then I always keep them. And then what I did here is I just added to it for this book. This was an old big picture flower. It's all gold in the back with the roses. And then this is part of my snippet. This little part here is from a tea bag that was, it's the end of the tea bag, and so I've just added that. And this here's an old photo that I had that I put in here. Stamped here, added a little collage, some lace. This is a vintage button that I had that I liked, just because it's got some colors in it. Here's just a little collage that I did. Put a little metal piece here. This is from an old newspaper or magazine that I put down here. I had some vintage stamps that I've added. Had some scrap material here, as well as scrap here. And then this old photo, looks like a granddaughter, and she's sewing. It's a postcard. This is the Tim Holtz tissue paper that I've added here, and I've kind of grunged it up. But this paper here. Here's a collage. Now this photo here, so I created this digital. I never put it on Etsy. I never put it out there because I wasn't too sure about this. But now that I have it in the book, I'll probably release them. Sometimes I create these and I think, are people going to like that or not? I wasn't sure. But now that I have it in a book, in a grungy book, I kind of like it with the orange. I was trying to do more rusty, but when it prints definitely more orange, but I do like it in here. So tell me your thoughts. What do you think? They're different photos of boys and girls, and it's like a frame that goes around it. That's kind of this grungy orangey color. So this is an old ticket that I had. These are old, I don't know what these called. I have a whole bunch of them with people's names, little, I don't want to call them like calling cards, but they're almost like they go into like invitations or something like that. But I have a whole stack of them that I got with people's names, and this one here says Tommy W. Harrison. So I thought that was good on there. Then I put these girls here. Just did a little collage. This is an old envelope, and it has the old writing in here. And if you notice, it's like it's taped down. They typed it out, and then they taped it onto this paper, and it's congratulations. Looks like somebody was wishing somebody a happy birthday. Added some vintage stamps that I have. I have so many stamps. This is one of my digitals, my birds, as well as this came from a kit from an old magazine here. It's two ladies here. Some of my stained material. Another snippet. This here's from just when I was playing around with papers, with paints and dyes. This again's from my newest kit. We only regret the chances we didn't take. I liked that. Looks like she's really thinking about it. Then I thought this was fun. This was some scrap material that I had that has these circles, and I thought, oh, that'd be fun. So I used some of my digital photos, put the girls in there, and did that. This is a Tim Holtz, one of the Tim Holtz strips that I added here. This flower, can't remember, it will come to me where I got that from. It's not Tim Holtz. Oh boy, I can't remember. But anyways, they always have a lot of ephemera that you can buy. Old material here. This is another old postcard. It's of a family. Looks like maybe they're having a picnic. Put that there. And just collage with some of my old scraps. Here's some more of the wax paper when I'm doing things that I put down. So I always keep it because I love a little crinkly in my junk journals. Here I was probably doing this, maybe on this, creating the backgrounds, and so this is the result of that. Another vintage postcard here. Then here, this is what I was referring to. I just put whatever in, and I just loved her. I wanted to add a girl with flowers in there. So I put her in. I did grunge it up around here. That's one of my digitals. These here, I love this. So this is another, this comes in a cream color. You've probably seen people use them before, but I dyed them. So I got the grunginess on it. I bought it from Hobby Lobby. Hobby Lobby doesn't have this anymore. And it's hard to find this again with the cream and the brown buttons. I have quite a bit of it, so I'm not too worried about it because I don't use it all the time like I do that lace. But yeah, I just thought it was pretty in here with the old buttons. Then here I've just made a little pocket with a tag. These are also from one of my kits as well. So a lot of this stuff is here. a bow, bird, my girls in date with daisies. This here's from my vintage flea market tall skinny junk journal, or kit, excuse me. So I've used some of those photos. This here was a scrap that's from an old photo book that had old photos, and they used to write in white. So I've used those. There it says London. This is Westminster Cathedral, Catholic, it says on there, and just did a little collage as well as collaged around here. Here's another one of my 4th of July pictures. This here's the Tim Holtz tissue that I've put on here. That's so versatile, this tissue. I mean, you can use it in so many different types of junk journals. It doesn't have to be grungy because it's all white when you get it. So it could be put into shabby chic and just keep it the white, or you could, you know, use pink or anything just to kind of highlight it. This here's one of my traveling digitals photos, and I just love them. Looks like they're going somewhere. Here's the other side of my experiment when I was playing around with paints. This here's a bubble wrapped package envelope from Tim Holtz. So when I ordered a long time ago stuff from him, it came in this bubble wrap that has all the different words all over it, and I kept it because I liked it, but I used it here. It's from this was from an old scrapbook, and so this was already adhered down, and I put that, just did a little collage. This is an old photo, you know, when you used to take your roll of film in, and you'd put it in the envelope and you'd tell them what you wanted. And I just cut it down and made a little pocket here. This here's just some of my grungy papers that I did. An old photo that I had. Again, another bookmark. These are from my tags that I have out there. I have tags in the whites, pinks, blues. I don't know if I have green or not, but they're a lot of fun. This is from an old book, Webster Dictionary. It's the spine that I had kept, probably because I used the book cover, you know, and sometimes you take those off. I always keep them. Again, this here's an old, not really sure because it's in a different language, but it's a vintage piece that I had. I liked the color. Tried to reinforce it here for opening. This here's when I was trying to experiment with different materials to print on. So I was trying to print my digitals on materials, but that didn't, at the time I thought, oh, that didn't come out very good, but I kept it anyways. But I like it in the Grungy Journal. These papers here are ones that I did. It's kind of a heavier, I don't know what kind of paper, but a heavier paper that I was inking on. Scraps here. Again, my snippet. This is, I don't know where this paper's from. I know it's from one of my digitals, but I'm not sure which one. This here again is an old, and this is kind of like an old, I wouldn't say it's, I guess it's tin. I don't know if it's tin, but it's definitely harder, but it's faded, an old photo. Got a little key here. Again, my favorite lace. Okay, now isn't this cute? Oh my gosh, I love these digitals of mine. there's a whole assortment of them out there, and I'll link everything down below, kind of what I used on some of my stuff. But I added her Angry Angel, The World Needs Who You Were Made to Be. I added some feathers, but she just makes me smile. Put it on some black background. I did do some sewing throughout as well. I forgot to mention how I binded these. So what I did is I did fabric. So you'll take a piece of fabric, you'll take 2 pieces of your paper, and you glue each side down. And you do it on both sides to reinforce it. So strip of material on one side, a strip of material on the other side. This here, it's like I used 2 pieces because I had scraps. And then you use that to sew in. And so that's kind of what I did. And I bring that up because you can kind of see here where I sewed, because I wanted it to make sure some weren't down as good as I wanted. So I just kind of sewed those down as well. This is an old ledger that I put in here. Old photos. Just the same that I had from an old book that I had kind of grunged up. Put some corrugated board, just some scraps that I had here. Again, I had the other side of that other envelope that I put here and made a pocket here for it. This here's an old letter that I had that came just like this. So I added some material, and then on the inside, and I can't read it because it's in a different language, but I love the writing in it. And then I've added this into this, my girls, my Daisy girls. And then I just thought they were sweet. So in the background, again, is when I was playing around making grungy papers. The scrap pieces that I had. This here is actually from a Tim Holtz. You know, when you buy the pictures, and on the back of the packaging, it will show the pictures of everything. So I always keep those, and I put that on there. Again, just a sweet photo. These here are my eco-dyed papers that I did a few years back that I've put in here throughout, and I'll show you. I think there's some more here. I've got a whole stack of them, and I don't use them quite enough like I should, because you know, they only go into certain types of journals, so it depends on what you're doing. To me, that wouldn't be for a shabby chic. So, but I love them. I'd love to do some more because they were a lot of fun to do. There is a video of me and how I did these that I have up as well. So if you're ever interested in doing eco-dyed papers with flowers, definitely check that out. It's incredible how they turned out. This here's just collage. Whoops. Uh-oh. Got a little glue there. This here again, that backing wax paper, added a little Tim Holtz. Added one of my vintage photos. This here I really grunged up. It doesn't come this way. It's kind of grungy, but I definitely made it a little bit more grungier. Again, from one of those art magazines. And here, just a little pocket. These gentlemen here are like this. Again, from my 4th of July. Just did a little collage. Sewed quite a bit on these ones here. And here's one of my eco-dyed papers. And then I actually then embossed them. So I don't know if you can see that or not. but then I also put it through the embosser to give it more texture. And I love that. Sometimes I just experiment to see what it's going to turn out. So there is that. So I hope you love it as much as I do. I hope I gave you some inspiration on creating your own Grungy Junk Journal. You know, there's just so much inspiration out there. In fact, before I started, you know, I pulled out my other ones that I had done just to kind of see, because sometimes you forget different techniques that you've used. It's good to kind of just go back for reference. But then I was on Pinterest and Instagram and kind of looking at everybody else's and seeing, you know, their different techniques and what they use. Because sometimes, you know, you want to try something different. So definitely with mine, not that I got this from anybody else, but it was the creepy lady with the eyes. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you're all doing fantastic. And I'll link everything that I can remember that I used down below. And I'd love to know what you think about it. All right, have a wonderful day, and thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.